So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time. Now, needless to say this, you have to revise this lecture just after watching it from the notes provided by us on our Telegram channel. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget these current affairs. So if you don't want to forget these current affairs and remember them till your exams, revise this lecture. The notes are available on our Telegram channel and the link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. Okay, so do check that out. Alright then, let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so let's begin. So daily current affairs, 26 September, that is Friday, and here is the topics list. Okay, number one topic is a test done by DRDO. Okay, rail-based AGNI-P missile tests, and these tests were successful. So what is AGNI-P missile? Why is it significant to launch it from rail-based platform? We'll talk about this. How significant a test, defense test this is. We'll talk about this. Then recently, Iran has announced that it is going to enrich its uranium up to 60% only, and it has no intention of building nuclear weapons. So this brings into question, what is uranium enrichment? Okay, uranium is a nuclear fuel. So we'll talk about this, the science behind this. Then the third news topic is related to drug-resistant nightmare bacteria. This is the type of bacteria that is resistant to any antibiotics that you use on them. Okay, it is a very dangerous news. So we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about foreign direct investment in India at a 50-month high. So what is FDI? Which factors increase its inflow in India? We'll talk about this. So these are the four news items that we shall zero in our attention on today. Okay. So the first topic is related to science and tech portion of your UPSC syllabus. Second topic is also related to science and tech. Today is a science and tech lecture. Okay. Third topic is also related to science and tech. And last topic is related to UPSC economics or economics portion of your UPSC syllabus. Okay. So we'll be discussing these four topics. Let's start discussing them one by one. Starting with topic number one, and that is rail-based AGNI-P missile. Now you all know that post Operation Sindoor, our defense ministry has, well, activated itself, and DRDO and all the defense research organizations in India, including the services, Army, Air Force and Navy, they have started focusing their attention on weapons acquisition. And research organizations have started increasing their research and innovation as far as new generation weapons are concerned, so that India's defense preparedness can be enhanced. Okay. Now, India has a set of missiles known as the AGNI series of missiles. These are indigenously developed. Well, the development on these AGNI series of missiles started in 1989. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, okay, the former president of India, is credited with this AGNI series missile development program. So it started in 1989 and we developed AGNI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a set of missiles, ballistic missiles called AGNI missiles. Now, we have AGNI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Recently, we have created a new form of AGNI missile known as AGNI-P. P stands for prime. Okay. Now, AGNI prime has a lot of features, but this time around, well, DRDO test fired it from railways. Okay. Rail car. Now, why is test firing or the capability to test fire a missile or fire a missile from railway-based platforms is significant? Let's investigate this. Okay. So in this topic, we'll be talking about AGNI-P missile and why is it important to have the capability of firing a missile from rail-based platforms. Okay. So these are the two things that we shall cover. So let's begin. Okay. So yeah, rail-based AGNI-P missile. So as you can see, this is the test. Okay. So this is a rail car and this is the missile that was successfully test fired from this railway platform. Now, why railways is significant? We'll talk about this. Okay. But first, let's talk about AGNI-P missile. Okay. So AGNI-P missile basically belongs to AGNI series of missiles. Okay. Now the development of AGNI series of missiles started in 1989. And we have different versions of AGNI series of missile. Okay. From AGNI 1, we start with medium range ballistic missile, and AGNI 5 basically is an intercontinental ballistic missile. The range is huge. You can see at this image also, in this image also. AGNI 1 has a range of, well, 700 to 1200 kilometers. AGNI 2, 800 to 2000. AGNI 3, 3000 to 5000. AGNI 4 up till 4000. And AGNI 5 missile, the latest missile that we have, well, we can hit any target as far as Australia also. It has a range of 8000 kilometers. 5,000 to 8,000 kilometers. Okay, so this is a series of AGNI missiles. Okay, AGNI-1 missile was successfully test fired in 1989, and from then on we have developed different series of AGNI missiles. Okay, now Indian armed forces require both short range ballistic missiles as well as ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. We need both, right? Now remember, AGNI-1 missile was test fired or launched in 1989. Since 1989, there have been various technological advancements. Okay, but we also need short range ballistic missiles. So what we have done is we have modified and added latest technology into AGNI-1 missile. Okay, and we have created AGNI-P missile. So as far as AGNI-P missile is concerned, it has similar range as AGNI-1, but it has various advanced technological features that are there in AGNI-5 or 4. Okay, so AGNI-P is basically advanced version of AGNI-1, right? So let's read about it. So AGNI-1 was medium range ballistic missile. The range was 700 to 1000 or 1200 kilometers. Okay, AGNI-P, well, it has some additional range, okay, 1000 to 2000 kilometers. AGNI-1's range with propulsion and navigation technologies borrowed from AGNI-4 and 5 missile. So range is similar to AGNI-1, but well, new technologies, okay, are borrowed from AGNI-5 or AGNI-4. Okay, this missile can also carry high explosive thermobaric nuclear warhead. So it can carry nuclear weapons, highly explosive weapons, and thermobaric weapons. You should know this about thermobaric weapons. Thermobaric weapons are like a spray. So what happens is when this weapon explodes, small explosives, a spray of explosives spread around in an area, causing maximum damage. So thermobaric weapons can also be launched from this missile. Clear? Now the question is, why did we choose rail-based? Okay, why rail-based platforms are significant for launching these missiles? Okay, first of all, you need to know what are mobile launchers. Okay, so listen to me carefully. Okay, missiles are launched from two types of launchers: stationary launchers and mobile launchers. Now, what are stationary launchers? Well, these are those launch sites, launch platforms, which are stationary. They cannot be moved from one place to another. So if you launch a missile from here, an enemy gets to know about this location, well, you cannot change the location of that launcher. These are stationary launchers. Many missiles are launched from stationary launchers. But what are mobile launchers? Well, suppose you are launching a missile from a truck, from a submarine, from an aircraft, from railways. These platforms can be moved from one place to another. If enemy gets to know about the location of your missile launch site and it's a truck, you can move that truck to a different place, hiding your missile launch site, right? So these are mobile launchers. So examples of mobile launchers are submarines, aircraft, ground-based mobile launchers like trucks, road, and rail. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of mobile launchers? Well, developments in satellite imagery, mobile sensing, and missile technology have made stationary launchers more vulnerable. It is very easy for the enemy to locate your stationary launchers and then destroy them with a missile. That is why you have to keep your mobile launch platforms mobile. Clear? Because this gives you second strike capabilities. So if an enemy has attacked you first, well, you can move around your launchers and then do a second strike, counter attack. So this is the advantage of mobile launchers. Now there are different types of mobile launchers. Why is rail superior? What is the advantage of having rail? Okay, so why rail? So first of all, well, road-based mobile launchers like a truck, well, it has a lot of vulnerabilities. For example, well, you need proper well-developed highways for it. And India does not have well-developed highways everywhere, right? Then some highways have potholes and all. You cannot launch a missile from that. Plus, there is a limit to the amount of weight that can be put on a truck. Yes, so there are some vulnerabilities of truck-based or road-based launchers, okay? Plus, India has a huge railway network and we have various rail tunnels also. In these rail tunnels, we can hide our missiles from satellite surveillance. Clear? Plus, rail-based mobile launchers or rail-based missile launchers are cheaper than submarine launchers. Okay, SLBMs are submarine launched ballistic missile. So they are cheaper compared to that. Plus, India can afford to have rail-based launchers because India has a vast network of railway tracks. 70,000 kilometers of railway tracks. So we can fire from any location. Make sense? So this is the advantage of rail-based platforms. Clear? That's about it. Now let's quickly shift our focus to second news item, and that is uranium enrichment. Why was this in news? You see, 3 months back, both Israel and USA attacked Iran. And you all know that Iran is kind of an enemy for Israel, arch enemy of Israel, and by that extension, arch enemy of USA also, right? Because USA and Israel are allies. Now, the biggest fear that Israel has is that Iran will develop nuclear weapons. Okay, and Iran is well on track to develop a nuclear weapon. Yes. Now, that is a big existential threat for Israel. 3 months back, both Israel and USA attacked nuclear sites of Iran, taking back Iran's nuclear program by many years. Now, 3 months after that attack, well, recently, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, he announced that Iran will enrich its uranium. Uranium is the nuclear fuel. Okay, Iran will enrich its uranium up to 60%, but it has no intention of developing nuclear weapons. This is to signal the world that we are not developing nuclear weapons yet. America and Israel are attacking us, so how unfair these people are. Yes, so that was a signal. Now, for us, it is important to understand what is uranium enrichment, what is enrichment. And when Iran says that we are just going to enrich uranium up to 60% and won't produce nuclear weapons, should we believe them? Okay, well, we shouldn't, and I'll tell you why. But nonetheless, first let's talk about uranium enrichment, and I'll explain to you the science behind this. Okay, listen to me carefully. So, uranium enrichment. So basically, well, what is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is basically energy released by a nuclear reaction. Okay, and the kind of nuclear reaction we are talking about is nuclear fission, in which a heavy nucleus, heavy atom splits into two and produces a lot of energy. Okay, now for this nuclear fission reaction, you require nuclear fuel. Now, there are different categories of nuclear fuel. There are different types of nuclear fuel. Okay, but the most popular one and the most utilized one is uranium. Okay, now what do we mean by uranium enrichment? Listen to me carefully. Okay, so look, well, uranium is of two types, or basically there are two isotopes. If you studied your chemistry classes in school, you know what isotopes are. Okay, atoms with same atomic number but different mass number. But we won't get into that. Just remember there are two categories of uranium. Okay, one is called uranium-238, which has a mass number of 238. The other is uranium-235. Okay, now this uranium should undergo nuclear fission to produce nuclear energy, right? Now, uranium-238 is known as fissionable uranium. Okay, uranium-235 is known as fissile uranium. Now, what is the difference between the two? Remember this, okay? Fissile uranium means that it readily undergoes nuclear reaction. Okay, it very quickly undergoes nuclear reaction. Okay, it doesn't require that much energy. It quickly splits into two and produces nuclear energy. That is fissile. Okay, fissionable uranium means, or fissionable material means, that it can do nuclear fission, but you have to do a lot of work for this to undergo nuclear fission reaction. You have to basically inject a lot of energy. You have to bombard it with fast moving neutrons to basically start a nuclear reaction with uranium-238. So fissionable means nuclear reaction can happen but with a lot of effort. Fissile means very quickly. Make sense? Clear? Now, the thing is, in nature, when you look for uranium in nature, more than 99% of uranium that is available in nature is 238. So whenever you mine for uranium, you take uranium, 99% of that uranium is uranium-238 and less than 1% is uranium-235, which is readily fissile. Make sense? Clear? Yes? So this is better, the 1% one. 99% is fissionable. So to be able to use this uranium as nuclear fuel, you basically enrich this uranium. What do you mean by enrichment? Under enrichment, you increase the percentage of uranium-235 and decrease the percentage of uranium-238. Okay, so when you take natural uranium, you basically enrich it. By enrichment, it means increase 235, decrease the concentration of 238. Yes, simple. Okay, so when we say this uranium is 5% enriched, that means it has 5% uranium-235, 95% 238. If it is 80% enriched, that means 80% 235 and 20% 238. You understand now? Okay, now listen to me very carefully. You see, nuclear energy is used for two purposes. Okay, to produce electricity, power, which is known as civilian purpose, civilian use. Yes, or to produce a nuclear bomb, weapons. You use nuclear energy for two things. Okay, either you are creating nuclear bombs or you are creating nuclear power plants. Okay, civilian weapons. Now, when you are using nuclear energy for civilian purposes, you want to make a controlled, or you need a controlled nuclear reaction. Okay, you need to be able to control nuclear reactions so that you only produce that much amount of energy that is required. Clear? But if you are using nuclear energy for weapons, you want an uncontrolled reaction which will create unlimited amounts of energy for maximum damage. Clear? So for electricity, you want controlled nuclear reaction. For weapons, you want uncontrolled nuclear reaction. Simple? Yes? Now, for controlled nuclear reaction, you require 3 to 5% enriched uranium. Okay? You require only 3 to 5% enrichment. For weapons, you require 90% enrichment. Yes? That is why, well, countries keep a lookout for those countries which are enriching their uranium. If a country is enriching their uranium up to 3 to 5%, then that is safe. They are doing it for electricity. But if a country is enriching its uranium more than 3 to 5%, that means sure shot it is trying to build nuclear weapons. And that is the threat with Iran. When Iran says, we want 60% enriched uranium. For what other purpose you are requiring 60% enriched uranium? Definitely weapons. Make sense? Yes? So this is the thing. Clear? Now, that is why, well, we are worried about Iran. If Iran was only building nuclear weapons or enriching uranium for electricity, they would have enriched it till 3 to 5%. But now that they have increased their enrichment to 60%, that means they want to increase it further to 90% so that they build nuclear weapons. Clear? Now, there is a category of enriched uranium. Okay? If your uranium is enriched by more than 20%, it is called highly enriched uranium. HEU. Clear? Now, the thing is, this is HEU. Now, there are only two types of requirements for nuclear energy, and you require that only for this. If either you want 3 to 5% enrichment or you want 90% enrichment, there is nothing in between. If you are in between, that means you want to increase it to 90%. So 60% is nothing. That is why people are saying that Iran is lying. If Iran has no intention of making nuclear weapons, then it should have stopped at 5% only. Why make it highly enriched and then take it to even 60%? So this is the thing. I hope you understood the science behind this, right? The extra material is given in your notes. Do go through this also. But the science behind all of this, well, the conceptual clarity that you need, well, I gave that to you. I hope it was clear, okay? But if you have any doubts, use the comment section, okay? And ask your doubts, all right? And we shall quickly move on to our third news item, and that is, well, drug-resistant nightmare bacteria. Now listen to me carefully, okay? You see, the thing is that bacterial infections are quite common, okay? And they were common. They have been common since ages, right? But in 20th century, we discovered a medicine that attacks these bacteria and cures your infection. This particular category of medicine is known as antibiotics. So whenever you have a bacterial infection, you are given antibiotics. Remember this. If you have a viral infection, then antibiotics won't do anything. If you have a fungal infection, no antibiotics. But bacterial infection, antibiotics. And since the discovery of penicillin, the first antibiotic, well, we have saved so many lives. Okay, healthcare expanded, life expectancy expanded, because many people initially, like 100 years ago, used to die of normal bacterial infections, but now they can be cured with antibiotics. So it was a huge discovery. But recently what has been found is that some strains of bacteria have become resistant to antibiotics also. Antibiotics don't work on them. If this problem grows, then we will go back to the dark ages of medicine when people used to die of small bacterial infections, because now bacteria are becoming resistant to antibiotics, and this is a big problem. Now, one such bacteria is this drug-resistant nightmare bacteria. Okay. Now, recently, United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention has said that between 2019 to 2023, drug-resistant bacterial infections increased by 70%. This is an alarming news. So, in this news item, we will discuss about this bacteria, what this bacteria is, and then we'll talk about antimicrobial resistance. Okay, antimicrobial resistance. What is antimicrobial resistance? What is drug resistance? Okay, so pay close attention. Okay, so drug-resistant nightmare bacteria. So, what is this bacteria? So, this bacteria is also called scientifically carbapenem-resistant Enterobacteriaceae, CRE. Okay, now why is it called carbapenem? Well, if a bacteria has become resistant to antibiotics, we give stronger antibiotics. If bacteria becomes resistant to that, we give even stronger antibiotics, and we increase the strength of antibiotics. Now, the strongest antibiotic that is available is known as last line of antibiotics. The last line of antibiotics is a category of antibiotics called carbapenem. Clear? Now, this bacteria is even resistant to carbapenem. That means no other option is available to treat this disease. Make sense? Carbapenem resistant Enterobacteriaceae. Clear? Now, this is resistant to most or all available antibiotics, including carbapenems. Okay? And the reason is that this bacteria has evolved, and through evolution, it has one particular gene in its DNA called NDM gene. This NDM gene produces an enzyme. So, this bacteria has basically its DNA has evolved, and it has NDM gene. This NDM gene produces this enzyme which makes it resistant to antibiotics. Okay. So, it produces the enzyme called New Delhi metallo-beta lactamase. The reason why it is called New Delhi is because it was first, well, it is said that these bacteria evolved in India only. So, this type of bacteria actually came from India. That is why it's called New Delhi. So, NDM New Delhi metallo-beta lactamase. This enzyme makes them resistant. Clear? So, this is all you need to know as far as nightmare bacteria is concerned, but you need to know about antimicrobial resistance. Okay. So, what is antimicrobial resistance? So, what are antimicrobials basically? Look, for bacteria, you give antibiotics. Listen to me carefully, okay? It's important. For virus, you give antiviral drugs. For fungi, fungal infections, you give antifungals. Okay, and so on and so forth. Right? All these antibiotics, antivirals, antifungals, they are collectively known as antimicrobials. And when these microorganisms become resistant to these antimicrobials, then we call it antimicrobial resistance. Simple. Now, why is this antimicrobial resistance rising? What are the causes behind this? First of all, these bacteria, viruses are evolving. Evolution is a normal process. Okay? Microorganisms naturally change over time through genetic mutations. And the reason why this evolution has increased, it has quickened, is because we are misusing antibiotics also. Sometimes our body doesn't need antibiotics, yet we go to the nearby druggist or chemist and buy antibiotics without doctor's prescription. India is overusing antibiotics, and this has actually increased the pace of evolution and made these bacteria drug resistant. That is why it is called New Delhi NDM, right? Because in India, this evolution was fastened. Clear? Misuse and overuse. Then, well, many animals and humans are in contact. There are many herders, animal rearers, livestock rearers, right? Those animals also have those animals are also given antibiotics, cows for dairy sector, okay, pets. Now, these animals also have bacteria that become resistant. Now, when humans come in contact with them, this bacteria spreads to humans and then from humans to humans. So, spread through animals is also rising. Now, what is the consequence? Why is it called dangerous? Well, treatment failure, increased illness and death all over the world, economic impact, because now last line of antibiotics are very expensive. Okay. And if they are also not working, then the therapy or cure is extremely expensive. So there is economic burden also. And food security and safety. Resistant microorganisms can contaminate the food chain, impacting food security. Clear? Now, what is the way forward? What should we do to slow down this pace of antimicrobial resistance? There are various ways. Responsible use of antibiotics, research and development into new type of antibiotics, surveillance of this bacteria, global collaboration between different countries, United Nations, everywhere. Okay, so this is the way forward. Clear? And now let's quickly jump to last topic of the day, and that is FDI in India at 50-month high. So for many months, the data was that, well, FDI has slowed down, foreign direct investment has slowed down in India. But recently, RBI released FDI data for the month of July. And it shows that foreign direct investment in India for the month of July this year was at a record high, 50-month high. Okay, now 50-month roughly translates into 4.5 years. So, well, it's a big deal. That means India is slowly and gradually becoming an attractive destination for foreign investors, right? This was in the news. Now, what is important for us? First of all, we need to know what is FDI. And the second thing that we need to know for our exams is, well, what factors contribute towards increase in FDI? What are the reasons behind this increase in FDI? Okay, so let's quickly finish this topic as well. Okay, so FDI in India at 50-month high. So what was in the news? First, let's talk about that. So FDI into India had risen to highest in over 4 years as per RBI data. Okay, maximum FDI in India is coming from Singapore, Netherlands, Mauritius, USA, UAE. All these five countries collectively make up 3/4 of total FDI. So maximum FDI is coming from these 5 countries. Plus, manufacturing and services, including communication, computer businesses, were the top recipients. So these are the sectors in which FDI is going. Clear? Now, first of all, you need to know what is FDI. First of all, you all know what foreign investment is. Foreign investors investing money in India, right? Now, foreign investment is of 2 types. FDI, foreign direct investment. FPI, foreign portfolio investment. Clear? Now, when a foreign investor wants to invest in India's stock market, bond market, share market, right, to make money, like we invest in share market to make money. So if there is any foreign investor who is investing in India's capital markets to make money, that is a short-term investment. As soon as this investor will make money, he will get out of India, right? This is known as foreign portfolio investment. It is short-term. But there are some investors who are not investing in capital markets, share markets. They are investing money to do business in India. For example, Amazon decided to open its offices in India, to do business in India, to open its shop in India. So Amazon came with a lot of money and opened its offices all over India. That is foreign direct investment. It is more permanent, right? It is more long term. Similarly, Walmart, a foreign company, US company, decided to collaborate with Flipkart to open stores in India. 50% will be Walmart, 50% would be Flipkart. Now that 50% coming from Walmart is foreign direct investment. Okay, so foreign portfolio investment can be in debt as well as equity. But foreign investment, direct investment is no debt. These people are coming here, bringing their money to do business in India. Okay, this is the basic definition. Though we will discuss this topic in detail in our economics lecture, so don't worry about it. In current affairs, I can't extend the lectures. Okay, so I'm covering this in brief. Now, what factors are responsible for enthusiasm in foreign investors for a particular country? Okay, what are the factors? So if the country has economic stability, political stability, government policies are such that they promote ease of doing business, infrastructure is top notch, there is good electricity, good water supply, good transport infrastructure, then foreign investors would come to set up their shop in India. And there is institutional support. Institutional means institutions like RBI, banking system, insurance system, okay, taxation system. These are institutions of India. If they are friendly, business friendly, then foreign investors come here. Clear? Simple? That's all. That's about it. That is it as far as today's lecture is concerned. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it will add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series. And please do not forget to revise this lecture. On that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.